fate years ago, seeing what I've seen, knowing what I know. I would tell that quiet kid there'll be days ahead when it doesn't make sense. I would tell him he can trust your hand, cause now I got a picture of the greater plan. I can see with perfect clarity, it wasn't tragedy, it was what I needed. I couldn't see it then, but now I understand. Every step of the way, you've been, you'll be working everything for the best for me. So I trust in who you are. Every step of the way, you've been, you'll be fighting and writing your love in my story. You've held my heart. Every step of the way, every step of the way.
Okay, we're gonna get started. Dave.
Looking back on my life again, I never
Yeah.
thought that I'd
Can
be
we get the
standing
doors?
in the
Thanks,
place I'm
guys.
in. It took a little faith to see, gotta
right,
chase
we
the
got a
dream
little
that you
group.
placed in me. Never
Are
thought
we
I would
live?
be praying the prayers I
Yes.
pray.
Okay, we're
Never
live.
thought I would be
Hi, if
saying
you're
the
watching
things I
online,
say.
hello.
But you've been
Thank you
with
for joining
me.
us. We got
Every step of the way, you've been, you'll be working everything for the
So-
best for me. So I trust in who you are. Every step of the way.
But this is for you also if you are going to attend a reach group. So not necessarily everybody who is in the room will lead a group, but this paper still has really great information on it for you about our vision. So City Reach Church exists to reach the one who feels far from God with a fresh expression of his love and power, and help them become fully devoted followers of Christ. That is the vision statement of this church. So why small groups? There's so many reasons why small groups. I mean, if you've been in this church for a minute, you know how important they are to us. But if you've been in any church, you probably know that it is extremely difficult at times to participate in the life of a church, because personally, I think churches can be some of the most lonely, isolating, discouraging, depressing environments on the planet. I don't believe that. I've experienced it. So it is my experience. So that might be your experience, and I don't even exclude this church from that. We're not immune to the stuff that, we think is kind of rough about other churches. We're one of them. So it's really important to have an environment outside of what we experience, at a weekend service. I'll just say weekend service because ours is Saturday night. It used to be Sunday morning. It'll probably be Sunday morning someday again. But when you don't have an opportunity to go deeper, you're not connected. This is not authentic connection. I mean, especially if you're watching online, even being part of a virtual reach group is better than only attending church online, which we have virtual reach groups, and hopefully we'll have more this semester. But they are incredibly important, and so I'm just gonna go through these notes. This is just basically a rough outline of our vision for why we do them, and some of the ways that we like to talk about them, and the vernacular that we use, and the real purpose personally that we have in them. Because there's many different reasons why other churches do them and why they say they do them, and we want people to be really connected to why we say we do them. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to pray, and then we'll go through this. Leah will tell you how, and then we'll be done, hopefully in 10 minutes. Okay? All right, go team, go. God, we just thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for each person in the room who's expressing interest. And God, what an incredible moment it is, I think, because I remember when the story, God, where Jesus, you were wanting to meet a need. and you had your disciples around you, and there was 5,000 people who were hungry. And there were confounded, dumbfounded disciples that didn't know how to solve this problem. And a boy came up and was willing and showed interest in what was being done by your hand, God, and what a miracle you created just by someone's willingness to share what they had. So we thank you for this moment, and we just thank you for each person in the room and pray that they would find a moment of purpose and excitement, connecting their heart to yours through this vision. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so why small groups? We are not a church that does small groups. We are a church of small groups. Am I too close to a speaker or something? Because I'm hearing feedback. I don't know if anyone else can hear that. No?
I can't hear it.
Okay.
This is my guitar.
Yeah, it might be your guitar.
No,
I don't know.
left hand.
Okay. Well, it stopped, so that's great. So that statement alone, it sounds kind of cliche, but it's true. We are a church of small groups, and we are so much that, like, when people aren't connected to a reach group, it's always like, and it's going to sound really like kind of maybe rude, kind of maybe mean, I don't know, but it's just the truth. Eventually, if someone in this church doesn't get connected in a reach group, they don't stay. And it's okay. It's okay. Listen, it's okay for people to leave churches. It's actually really important, I think. So we have no problem with people coming and going and coming back or whatever. Like that is okay. But if you don't get, and here's why I think transient church people are a thing. Either the church isn't facilitating the reach groups well. We call them reach groups, okay, because city reach, right? We'll just say reach groups, but I mean small groups, right? So either the church isn't facilitating the reach groups well, or the person isn't willing to get uncomfortable. I don't know which one it is, and it's maybe kind of some of both. But if you don't get connected, you're not going to grow. You're not going to be the luminescent anthropology that Frank's been talking about. And you're going to get stuck. And sometimes when you're stuck, it's amazing what getting out of your comfort zone and getting out of your pattern and getting out of your life for a period of time, the miracle that can take place when you just start connecting with other people. Okay, so here's why they're critical to this church family. They help us fulfill the part of our vision we call finding freedom. Now, I know it doesn't say anything about freedom in that vision statement, but we have a part of our vision statement that says we are here to help people know God, know freedom, know purpose, and then reach the one who feels far from God. So we have this kind of cyclical purpose in our structure where we believe people come and know God, and this process is for anybody at any point in their faith journey. I know that you guys have been Christians for a long time, but you are still in a process where you need to know God in a different way. Sorry, you never mature out of meeting God for the rest of your life. You're always going to be meeting God. So knowing God better, finding freedom, okay, is like these steps, we never mature out of them. So know God, find freedom, discover purpose, and then help reach the one who feels far from God. It is the cycle of this church. So we believe the finding freedom part of our vision only happens through relationship with other people. It's just how we do it. It could be done differently. Freedom, people can find freedom in different ways through different churches. In this church, we really believe, we see it happen all the time. People find freedom when they get in a reach group and they get around other people and they connect with other people. There is a part of connection to divinity that cannot happen without another human being present and part of the process. It is just how God made us. At least that's what we believe here. So they help us find freedom. Reach groups help us combat loneliness and isolation in the lives of our members. I took this right out of our vision statement. How timely. Isolation and loneliness is something that has been a problem, like I said at the beginning, in church. It's hard. You feel lonely, especially introverted people. I feel so bad for introverted people. I feel like that would be such a plague on my life if I was introverted. And I know that that's, like, some people are introverted and they love their life, but, like, it would be so hard for me if I had that feeling of kind of like, I need someone to help me meet other people. That's okay. It's okay that that doesn't come naturally to you. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. So we need to be creating opportunities for people to get connected so that isolation and loneliness is not something that people are experiencing because we're dropping the ball. Reach groups help protect us as members, especially when we are in a season of struggle. That word protect, I want you to underline it or circle it. And I want you to know that relationships are the glue that holds this ministry together. And in leadership, we are an open congregation. We are open. We are so freaking open. You do not have to fix your life up before you come in here and influence other people. Okay? And that, sometimes it backfires. Because then someone comes into a position and they're like, oh, hey, surprise. I have this struggle, and it's messy, but relationships help protect us when those things in our life blow up, and all of a sudden we had an affair, or all of a sudden we had a relapse, or all of a sudden we had a mental breakdown, or all of a sudden the things that we kind of don't really know about each other spill out all over the place. We want to be a safe place for those things to happen. And this is why reach groups happen, because they help protect us. Our relationships help protect us when we get into a season of struggle. They aid us in spiritual growth and healing as laid out in Scripture. James 5:16. Confess your sin. I put in here pain, because that's what sin is. It's just pain or a wound. Confess your sin to who? A priest? The pastor? Your doctor? No, just to one another. That's it. And then what happens when you do that? When you're in confession of what's broken, what happens? You will be healed. That doesn't happen on Saturday night service. We don't get that deep, and we shouldn't, because it's not safe. We need a safe environment to know and be known and to share our lives. Transformation in the life of a Christ follower cannot, there's a word missing, happen outside the context of being known by the family of God around us. Final thought on the vision. Transformation. Salvation is you and God. That happens in an instant, and it's kind of done. You're done. You're saved. Transformation, come on, I see them nodding, is a process that cannot happen without other people in your life. And not just pastors, not just amazing biblical, just people. It doesn't matter if they have a Bible degree or not. People are what help bring transformation, because that's who God uses. The light of the world is inside of us, and we're here to be a light for one another. Okay, so the purpose of reach groups is very simple. Connection. We don't have a discipleship program in this church right now. We have connection. That's all we've got. And we want to make sure that we emphasize this, because reach groups don't have to be a discipleship program, a Bible study, a really in-depth, what's the latest Lisa TerKeurst women's book, or, man thing. Like, here's what a reach group is, okay? If you have something that you like to do, for me, it's relationships. For me, it's learning about relationships, personal healing. I like to do those things, and I don't really pursue those things on my free time a whole lot. I get so much out of leading a reach group that does the thing that I'm interested in, and it helps me grow. But maybe you have a hobby that you don't often get to do. We had a gun group one year. We went to a shooting range, shot guns. We've had bike groups, we've had sewing groups, we've had, baking, you name it. If you like to do it and you can get one other person to do it with you, you have a reach group. Period. And then the goal is connection. That's it. You connect over an activity, you connect over a book, you connect just drinking wine if you want, whatever. Reach groups are free market, meaning your group can be discussion-based, activity-based, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. They're not a life sentence, so we have a start date and an end date to our semesters. And I could talk about that for a long time about why we do that, but just simply put, it's not healthy for something to go on and on. It creates cliques. It creates relationships that aren't then open to other people, and it's also exhausting. I would never lead groups if they never ended. So this semester, I think we're doing about a six-week reach group semester. And they're open to anyone. So a lot of people have joined our church through reach groups. Yes. Leah started at a reach group. She actually, those of you who took Master Heart, I think it's just you. You heard this story, right? Like, she visited our church at like week 3 of Master Heart. That was like how she met everybody. And it was like the week where you break open your heart and write a list of all the ugly things about yourself. And she was like, and she stayed. It worked. I mean, that's like the worst case scenario. Somebody visits on like a hardcore week where we're like really dealing with all of our crap. And they stay. That's the grace of God right there, man. Okay, so anyone can come. So we really like to create open environments. Now, there are exceptions to that, like the Master Heart group that we led, the women's group. There was a really distinct purpose for that group. It had to remain closed, so there was an open time where you can sign up, you get to be part of it, but we don't take people after that just because of the nature of how deep it was. We wanted to create safe place, and people visiting and coming in and out just wasn't appropriate, and that is okay. We had another group that did calligraphy, and the girl that led it just said, I'm not comfortable with this being an open group. I have a plan. I want people to commit. I want them to pay money, and I want them to go for the whole thing, and if it's an open group, I just feel like people aren't going to really value what I'm sharing. And that was fine. So they're open, but anything's possible. We do whatever. We work with leaders on, however they want their group to look. So here's the part where we talk about if you think that you couldn't lead a group. So first of all, I'll just say who can lead a group. We do have some stipulations. We want people to have been an active member of the church for 6 months at least before we let you lead a group. That's just because we like to make sure that people aren't like serial murderers or, like gonna be a group about atheism or something like that. Like, we might draw the line with that. So anyway, that's just the only boundary that we have, is that you've been a member attending consistently for 6 months before you lead a group. But if you don't think, maybe kind of like, yeah, I could lead a group, but I'm really scared to do that. I feel this thing in me. I'm here, and it's for leaders, but it's kind of not for leaders. So what am I? Am I a leader or am I not? We really believe there's a lot of grace on this church for anyone to lead a group. That's the only boundary, is you've been here for 6 months. If you think you want to lead a group, we believe God's grace is on that, and we will support you. We will train you. We have a really great training, so that's one of the things you might want to consider if you're thinking about leading a group, is that you will participate in the training. That is mandatory. Co-leading is encouraged. This is one of my favorite things that we do at this church, is if you find another friend to help you lead, then you have somebody who will be able to be there for you if you're sick, or if you're tired that week and you can't lead the group. You have someone who can help you lead it. Co-leading is strongly encouraged. And in this church, we believe everyone is a leader. Leadership is influence. And if you're a believer in Jesus, you have something to offer someone in this church through reach group participation or leadership. So really, if you're disqualifying yourself from leading a group, you shouldn't. Unless you really want to, or unless you really don't want to, you should probably think about leading a group. And that's all I have. Any questions so far about that part, the vision? Leah's going to go over logistics, and then we're done. No questions. If you have questions online, email us at cityreachwest@gmail.com. And then Leah will be sharing how to get in touch with her if you're watching the recording or the live stream, how to be involved.
Okay, so if you're interested, the very next step is going to be this Reach Group Leader Information page. This page is going to need to be given back to me no later than May 29th. That is your drop deadline. The sooner you give it back to me, the happier you will make me. What? And yourself. It will relieve lots of pressure for everyone. I am going to be your contact point person. I am not going to say my phone number right now because we're live streaming and I don't want the entire internet to have it. But I will give it to those of you in the room. Would it be appropriate to give my email, or should we have them email the church? Okay. No, I don't mind giving my email address. I mean, I get like emails from all the random companies in the world, right? So if you would like to have me email this to you, you can email me at Leah, L-E-A-H, .adams@outlook.com. And I'm going to need this back by May 29th. I'm your point person. The mandatory leader training is going to happen Sunday. We do not have our exact time or location yet. It's really going to depend on the amount of people that we have signed up. But that, Amber, will we have the availability to Zoom people in? So we can also, those of you who are online, we can Zoom you in if you are not comfortable or for whatever reason can't make that meeting in person. But those of you who can, that meeting is mandatory on June 13th. It's a Sunday. Groups begin the week of June 14th through the 20th. That will depend on what day of the week your group is on as to what day your group will actually start. So step one is going to be to fill this out and get it back to me ASAP. And then from there, I will be in contact with you. We will gather information. We will create the description of your group together. We will create your start date and all of that information. There will be time to present our groups as well, and you'll be given that information soon. Anything else? Anybody have any questions? Those of you in the room, I'm also going to have you sign in and just kind of say you are here. If you are interested in being a leader, please note that next to your name so that I already have your basic contact information. Does anybody have any questions? Before we go, I'm going to just totally be opportunistic and just give like a 10-second spiel. When we say Reach Groups Change Your Life, it's like the understatement of the century. I did come in the middle of a Reach Group session. It was one of those seasons in my life where I was like, I had a friend and she's like, hey, come with me. And I'm like, okay. And I came, and it was weeks after that. We became regular attendees of the church. And I don't think there's been a season I haven't been in at least two Reach Groups. There was a season I was in 7. Don't do that. It's a really bad idea. But the point is that the connections that you make, and it's people who you wouldn't typically connect with, it will enrich your life. It will change everything. It makes things so much better. So if I can be any sort of encouragement to you, even if you're not thinking about leading, to attend one is really, really important. Does anybody have any questions? Any final thoughts before we go? Amber, anything else? Frank? Thank you, Frank. All right, friends. Well, thank you so much. Those of you online, feel free to reach out via email. Thank you, guys.